Welcome and thank you for being here today. I'm excited to talk to you about your college experience. Introducing Yasmin. Nice to see you again.
Thank you. It's nice to see you too.
Thank you for coming on to talk to me about your experience today.
Mhm.
So, how about you tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
So, for those who don't know, I'm Yasmin. I'm 19 years old and I am currently a freshman in college.
Okay, so what's your major?
My major is child development. And the reason I chose to pursue this is because I've always wanted to learn more about how the children's minds are wired, especially focusing on the shows that they are consuming on a daily basis, which is controversial for like a while, because we're always looking for shows that have those educational elements, such as like emotional curriculum, like identifying big feelings, and more educational concepts, such as like teaching kids to read and write, etc., and so forth. Um, One of my all-time inspirations is Angela Santamero, who is the co-creator of Blue's Clues and created Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Super Why. And she has mastered all of these educational elements in making children's content. And my biggest dream is to make that same content, or like being able to take one of her elements that she's made and be able to make something original myself.
Wow, I did not know that that the creator of Blue's Clues and all those shows were a female, or is she the co-creator? That's what I'm
She
understanding.
She co-created Blue's Clues, but she
Wow.
created Daniel Tiger's Neighborhood and Super Why. Yeah.
Wow, those were great shows too. I remember those. Yeah, great theme songs too. I remember it was just
Yeah.
absolutely peak television. And you're right, a lot of
Mhm.
those shows are very controversial. I think it's all about how you really go forth and do it, though, from my personal
Yeah.
experience. So, with
Mhm.
that said, what accommodations does your college offer to help you succeed in your classes?
Mhm. So, like many colleges, mine offers DSPS, which is Disabled Student Programs and Services. It's kind of like an IEP version of a like in college, like I a college version of an IEP. I'm sorry. Um, Instead of your teachers being aware of your disability, you would need to let your professors know that you do have one in order to obtain those accommodations in the classroom by filling out an accommodation letter to send out to them, which is like a form that you have to do in order to get those accommodation, like the letters.
And do you use any of those accommodations?
Yes, I do.
Can you please let us know what accommodations you use if you are comfortable doing so?
Yeah. Let me see. Okay, so my accommodations are alternate test location, which means I can take my exam in another room where it's like quieter, I guess. I have extended quiz time, which includes online courses, note taking services, audio recording, and use of personal device in the classroom.
Hmm.
And one of the accommodations that I use the most is the extended quiz time. I do take a bit longer to complete a quiz because of the anxiety on like which answer seems to be like the right answer. It depends on like
Understandable, yeah. I
it
have that
depends on
all the
like
time.
yeah, it depends on how like the teacher does the quiz though. But um mm, and overall just the anxiety of being like handed over a test like in general.
Yeah.
And I also use the alternate test location accommodation a lot in high school, so it's easier for me to concentrate in another room where there's not a lot of people.
Thank you for answering. I do use accommodations as well. Actually, I use the exact same accommodations. I was thinking about maybe in this semester coming up having a note taker, but that accommodation maybe isn't very helpful for me. I don't know.
Mm,
I thought I would try it though, but since I'm online, those accommodations don't always switch over to online.
mm. I'm not that good of like I do had I think that accommodation was added recently because I do visit my DSPS counselors like during the first semester.
Very
So,
good. Yeah.
yeah.
Usually I am not great at that. Sometimes I will do it in the second half and they're like, we can't really do much for you right now because you're in the second half of the same semester.
Mm,
So always make sure to go early, everyone. Whoever uses that, it's definitely a go early thing and in person if you can, because
yeah.
having it be not in person is, I bet you know, it's messy to say the least.
Yeah. I
It
know
seems
for
to
like
drop something. Continue on.
I know that my school also offers like DSPS drop-in sessions if you can't make it to your
Oh,
appointment.
that's very
They have
good.
they have those on Zoom. It's just like an easy link that you could just go to.
Very beneficial. And do you
Mm.
find the term students with disability offensive at all?
Um, I thought of this question of like a more general thing rather than like
Yeah.
a school type of thing. And my answer to that is absolutely not. You have a disability, like you literally are disabled, so it's not
Yes.
it shouldn't be offensive. Um, I do know some professors or people in general would dance around the word disabled by like saying like, person with special needs or someone who needs extra
Or
support.
differently abled, which is a new
Oh my
one that
God,
I've heard.
yes.
And I
Mhm.
don't like that one at all, personally speaking. I'd rather be
Yeah.
disabled and proud instead of differently abled and proud, which I just think for me, since my disability is kind of like hidden, and they do have that word now, hidden disability, and
Mhm.
that I don't like either because even though it's hidden, it doesn't make my disability any less.
Exactly. Yeah. Um, and I think it's because they're scared of like offending anyone if they do say it up front, or like it would hurt our
Yeah.
feelings if they did say it up front. Which I understand where that person's coming from. They just don't want to like hurt us, but it doesn't hurt us. And I think we need more people to say that. Like, I promise you, it doesn't hurt me if you say that I'm disabled. Um, because I have been my whole life. And I refuse to dance around the bush when it comes to the word disability because saying that I'm a disabled student up front is just me being myself and also just being honest about it.
Yeah. I appreciate you saying that, and I think a lot of people needed to hear that straight from, I hate this phrase, but the horse's mouth. Because I'm sick of people also dancing around it. It's just like, hey, look, we both know this thing, right? Let's not try to be like, how about today we do this thing? How about just be like, do you have a disability or no? And I'm very upfront and blunt about that to everybody I meet. I tell them, and they're like, you shouldn't have told me. Or like, I get a lot of backlash for that. People are like, oh, you're so
Well,
honest about it. I'm like, well, I'm not going to hide it. It's not
what
going
do
to
you
be like,
mean?
oh, yeah, it's just like,
I
oh, you're
think we
so
should be
brave.
honest
I'm
about it,
like,
like,
I'm
girl.
not brave. I'm just telling you the thing I have because I need help, or else you
Mhm.
won't know for some reason. Even
Yeah.
though it's very obvious, I'm not hiding it very well. Anyways, the next question is, do you disclose your disability to every professor in every class? Or is that something where you only tell them if you need accommodations for that class?
I mean, I would say like yes, because of again the accommodations that I mentioned earlier. I always give it to them to to be successful in the class that I have those accommodations, but I don't like explicitly say that I have this disability. But I do
Mhm.
have a sunflower lanyard, which is for hidden disabilities. Um,
Yes, I just
and
learned about that actually. Somebody
mhm,
told me that it's a particular type of sunflower, and I did not know that. It's supposed to have a particular amount of petals for it to be considered like a hidden disability one. And I was like, I don't know if that's inherently true, but I'm not sure because I don't wear one. I don't like
yeah.
the flower sunflower personally. I just doesn't. I just feel like it doesn't really fit my personality. I
Mm. Yeah.
feel like they're putting
I
me into a flower box, and I don't like that.
I know that these were like used in airports, especially like in the UK in 2016.
Hmm,
Um,
interesting. I didn't know it went that far back.
yeah. And then also, these received a lot of backlash, I think, because a lot of people thought these were like mask exception lanyards, rather
Oh,
than disability lanyards, even though it came out, these things were like before COVID. Um, and
weird.
so yeah. I think a lot of people used it during COVID because it gives them an excuse to not wear the mask or like to get in front of lines
There's
and
a
like
lot of
things like
sensory issues when it comes to mask. But personally, I think if you can wear a mask, you should wear a mask because not even just
that.
because of the fires, but COVID is still a thing that's going on today. And a lot of people
Yeah.
neglect to realize that and that it isn't over. It's just we're over with quarantine. This does not mean the whole thing is over, though.
Yeah. But I don't know. I just think it's helpful. Um, so yeah, it's so if I need extra help, I always have my lanyard and my tag that tells the person more about me. And then I also have a bracelet too. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's very cool. You have like a whole keychain, you have a whole accessory line for
Hmm.
disability.
Yep.
People should have more disability jewelry, honestly. Ask me about my special interest just on a shirt. Think about it. Think about it. We could be making money that way. Um, have you ever had any backlash when it comes to how professors typically respond?
Um, actually, most of my professors are actually really nice about it, and they're like, "Oh, okay, cool. You'll have extra time on quizzes or like whatever."
Okay.
But they're
So is
very
that
nice about it.
that's pretty much their typical response, yeah.
Yeah.
For my professors too, I haven't had backlash on it either, which is good. I think one professor was kind of a little bit ableist because they
Oh.
did not give me one of my accommodations, which is not great. I'm not going to say the professor's name because
Hmm.
I don't want to get them fired. I don't think they believed me when I said I had autism and ADHD. I think they were just like, no. It's like, what do you mean, no?
No, you're autistic. Like you're fine. Like you don't need any of the stuff. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You're good.
no, that's not true. It's not how it works, sir. That's why I wrote you a letter. Is your letter physical or is it an email?
It's a PDF. So yeah, it is email that I do give to them.
I usually give them in paper and email because sometimes professors won't check their emails very well, even though they're supposed to. And so it'll take me
Mhm.
longer to get it. So I just like on the first day, I'm like, here's a letter. And they're like, oh. And I was like, you are
That's
welcome.
smart.
Yeah. That way I get it to them easier and quicker instead of them checking through 1,000 students' emails, which is
Mhm.
torture. I would hate checking through that many emails, especially if they're doing multiple classes.
Yeah.
Speaking of classes, what is the hardest one you've taken and why was it so challenging for you?
Um, College classes are generally like hard, but
Yeah.
I think the hardest class that I ever took was history. My teacher would give us two lectures like every week, two lectures, and each of those lectures were like 40 minutes long or probably a little longer. And then after we watch both of those all the way through, we have to do a quiz and based on what we learned, right? And so taking notes on these extremely long lectures were probably the worst because I had other work to do and I didn't want to like sit on my ass and like literally watch a 40-minute video on like
With no break
you know
either. It's like no
like
mercy.
I can't take a break. I have other things to do. Like I can't be doing this. Um, but yeah, that's why I have those note-taking services. So like I can
Oh,
just
so
watch
you
the
do
video.
note taking.
Yeah, so like I could just watch the video and then like someone could like take the notes for me and it's like it works for everyone.
Yeah, that's good. And does your note taker do digital notes? Do you have a preference for that? I'm a physical note taker myself. I don't like doing digital notes, even though I
Um,
probably should because I waste a lot of money on paper and pencils and like highlight like white out every year. I'm like, look, it's fine though.
mhm. I did like download a note taker so I could listen to the video and like record the lecture, and then it gives me like a
Oh,
summary of what the lecture is about. And I told my DSPS counselor about it. I'm like, hey, this is what I use because I can't write notes. It's too time consuming. And she was like, oh, okay, that's fine. And then so yeah, that's why I have those note taking services now. And So like someone else can like take the notes for me and I can just listen to whatever is going on because it's hard to multitask.
It is for some people, yeah. For me, I find it relatively easy. Also,
Hmm.
I usually just draw notes. I do multi like medial note taking. So some of it's like I do drawings of what I think the professor is saying, or
Hmm.
I do like regular notes. I do connectors. I do like graphs and stuff. I do a bunch of stuff in my notes, especially
Hmm.
for like really boring classes. Which luckily I haven't had one that's just like like that noise, whatever that noise means to you.
Agonizing.
Yeah, like the agonizing of death. I'm like, why did I ever take this class? Oh, right, it's a requirement. Dang it. Still, why am I
Mhm.
taking this class? Anyways, in
Literally.
general, do you think your campus is accessible?
Um, yeah, I think it is. Like, I believe it's very accessible. We also have like tutoring centers available for any subject and not just like an English class, which has like its own building. For me, it's like right by the library. You also have your counselors who are there to support you as well, and the DSPS counselors, of course, which I believe the DSPS counselor like has like its own building as well. Um, and then there's also like the doors for each of the buildings. There's like a door that you push and it opens, right? So that's accessible. And then there's also elevators in both the library and the writing center, the
That's good.
tutoring center.
And is there any specific accommodation that you think those people may need that is not already provided by the school?
Um, I don't think so. Or I think the school is pretty like good on accessibility. Yeah.
That's good. And has there ever been a time you have dropped a class because of ableism or a non accommodating professor? Or generally the class was just too hard?
Um, Again, it has nothing to do with ableism or I don't know, but I've always advocated for myself when it comes to not being able to get my assignments done on time. I am usually very like flexible about it and I can usually like get it done the day that it's due. Um, and so sometimes I don't feel very well and I just want to take a break from everything after a long day of like tutoring and class. Um, And so there was one time where I emailed one of my history professors that I wanted an extension on a quiz because I just wanted to rest because I already had like English to do, which usually takes up most of my time. And then
English
I also
homework is a lot, yeah.
and then I also had like another class, so like I just did not want to deal with that quiz. Um, which unfortunately didn't happen because they said that it's not justified like because I had like the whole day to complete the quiz, so it probably didn't make any sense for me to have that extension. Um so I was
Understandable. It was a whole day.
yeah, and
Were you able to get that done?
I was able to get that done even though I was very frustrated about it. um I just wish that they could like accept it this one time because again, I'm really good at like, turning in work the day that it's due. So I just wish I had, maybe just one day to complete it.
Understandable.
Mm.
And for people who aren't as good as advocating for themselves, sorry, not what accommodations, what can they do to be better advocates for themselves?
Um, I actually do resonate and empathize with the people who struggle to advocate for themselves. It's hard to say how you're feeling if something doesn't seem right to you, which I understand again 100%. My advice may be a little generic, but I would say find a community that understands your struggles in speaking up. Or if you have social anxiety like me, you can practice on your own on what you're going to like how you are going to advocate for something you want to happen or something you feel uncomfortable with. You can write out what you want to say and practice in the mirror or play out a scenario with a family member or a friend.
That is very good advice. It is a little bit generic, but generic is sometimes perfect for these situations. And personally, the way I do it for myself is I write down a letter. I like doing things a little bit old fashioned. So I write
Mhm.
down a letter about how I feel about it because sometimes I just don't generally know how I feel about something. So writing it down, journaling it about it, because sometimes there are things I'm like, I'm really mad about this thing. And then I write it down. I'm like, actually, you shouldn't be mad about this thing because it isn't that bad. I don't want to blow it out
Mhm.
of proportion because it isn't that horrible, but sometimes, I'm a bit of a hothead. Nobody knows that about me. Shh, it's a top secret, everybody. Nobody knows. They just think I'm some cute little girly over here without
Aw.
anger issues. But I do get angry sometimes. Not over a lot, but there is a little bit I get angry about. So making sure I don't blow things out of proportion, or sometimes people just need to, sometimes things don't need to be said. Sometimes you just have to let things go.
Mhm. Yeah,
So,
that's understandable.
mm, looking back at your first year, because I heard you're going into your second now. Looking back at
Mhm.
your first year, how did you feel like it went? And what can you do better going into the second year?
Looking back on my first year, I was really excited. Of course, it was my first year of college, and gaining more independence each day was the greatest feeling ever. As well as having a college right by my house is very refreshing. And knowing that most of my friends were going to go to the same college as me was also exciting.
That's good. Yeah, I've had to switch over a lot of friends, but it's nice to know that my college is right across the street where I literally went to elementary school. So some
Mm,
people I haven't seen in years, years and years and years, are finally like coming back into my life. And it's very weird because we're
um,
very different people. My friend
mhm.
Woody always says like, "You've gotten so tall. You've gotten so tall. Once upon a time, I was taller than you," which was true. But it's also like, there's other things that have changed, guys. Like, come on. Um, but yeah, having I also have my college nearby me, and it is very helpful.
Yeah.
Would your college benefit from having a sensory room in it though? Because I heard a lot of high schools nowadays have sensory rooms, but colleges you really don't have that.
Mm. Um, I'm not exactly sure if it does have a sensory room, but it would be a good idea. Um, it could really be like a fun place to relax and self-regulate before going back to class or, before going into class in general. Um, the room would also like if there was a sensory room, I would like it to be like very spacious. So like
Yes.
a lot of people who have like physical stims like I do, I like to flap my hands
Yeah,
and
me
walk
too.
and pace around the room. Like that would be really nice. Yeah, I think that would be good if it was like spacious.
What are some common misconceptions about college that you've encountered?
Um, so I've seen a lot of TikToks of many college students saying that it's okay if college wasn't or isn't the best time of your life. Um, I did resonate a lot with the statement going through like my first semester of college. Um, Even though I still have a very long way to go, um, I can't help but say that it was probably the most stressful 16 weeks of my life. Especially being like a full-time student, like I was taking four courses. It was like too much and I just like couldn't do it. And I was just in a lot of pain and I didn't have time to do everyday things. Like I was just really depressed because of it.
Yeah,
And
it does take a lot to bear. I always say with people going into their first year that they should start slow and take two classes, even if they're like, but four, you could finish sooner and quicker. Always
Mhm,
start as a part time and then work your way up to a full time because you can always switch over from full time to part time again. College is
mhm,
very good like that, but if you have a set goal in mind, like I want to finish with this particular time at this particular rate, let
mhm.
me go really fast. And I'm like, well, you're going to miss out on all the opportunities you're going to get. And don't forget all the discounts you get because you're a student.
Oh yeah.
People are like, school never pays. I'm like, look, I've used my discounts to go to the movies, for electronics. I don't know, guys. I don't know. Don't
Mm,
don't try to finish so quick.
yeah, understandable. Especially because I was taking online courses and I was very like knowing me because I have a lot of social anxiety and it's hard to make friends. Um,
Yeah.
I just felt very isolated and all my friends were like slowly moving on and they're slowly like doing all their like amazing things and I'm very proud of them. Like obviously, like
Yeah,
I
but it
see it
is
on
also
social.
wondering, like, where am I? Where do I fit on this equation? I feel like I'm not doing amazing
Exactly.
things. Yeah,
Right. And so
there's
I
that
was
social
wondering
pressure.
I was just wondering when am I ever going to do these amazing things because everyone's just doing it right away and I'm not and I'm just like sitting
Well,
here like
there's maybe some work
oh.
there that you're not seeing from behind the scenes. You're only seeing it from they're doing these amazing things, but
Mhm.
a lot of people don't realize there's steps to that, and you have to go and do some not amazing things, have some failures, and kind of figure out where you stand. But then it's also who you surround yourself with. I know that's very cliche. And like everybody's like, ah, yeah, it's who you surround yourself with, your friends, your family. Like, I know it's cliche, but that is
Mhm.
very sound wisdom. So no wonder it's
Yeah.
cliche.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you have the strongest community in college?
Um I think the community at the college that I go to is very everyone is super sweet and nice. I know usually I'll see people that have, like, stands or something to, like, promote their projects or something, and they always, like I would be walking to my class or the tutoring center, and they would always, like, wave hello, and, like, we would have, like, a conversation. So it's very genuine. The people at the my college are really sweet, and as well as the tutoring center that I go multiple times a week, they are also very sweet and seem to, like, enjoy their jobs, and you can see that. So
Oh,
yeah.
that's very good. Yeah. I like it when you can see the people actually enjoying what they do instead of just like, ugh, here I go. I gotta go to my job today. Like it's a different atmosphere altogether. And I'm glad you're
Mhm.
having a good community, especially due to your social anxiety, because I know
Yeah.
that can be very difficult.
Mhm.
How can professors how can professors and other staff create an inclusive classroom culture beyond obviously providing accommodations?
Mhm. Hold on, let me find the question real quick.
No problem. I'm kind of bouncing around from different ones. I reworded some sort of things.
You're good.
That's just kind of how I am a little bit.
Yeah, you're good.
Do you want me to go to another question for now?
Um, hold on. Oh, okay, I found it. Um, so professors can create an inclusive classroom culture by setting by letting everyone know, especially like in their syllabus, that their classroom is a safe place and really mean it. Um, for neurodivergent students, LGBTQ plus, and students regardless of ethnicity or race are welcome to come and learn and ask questions if they ever need any help. Beyond accommodations, though, it can be helpful to put it into the syllabus because that's obviously going to be the first thing students are going to look for when it comes to getting to know their professors.
Okay. How many how many college classes are you taking this semester?
As you can probably tell, I am no longer a full-time student. For this semester, though, I am taking only two classes, which is English and an early child development class, which I'm really excited about. My teachers seem pretty chill and easygoing, which is what I was hoping for. Because my professors were kind of strict, I wanted to pick teachers that were very like easygoing and not on like a power trip or anything.
I understand that. Have you tried Rate My Professor?
Yes, I have.
Is that
Yeah,
beneficial? Yeah,
it
sometimes I feel like it's a bit of a bias because students are like, I got an F in this class. And then all of a sudden it's like the professor's awful. And I'm like, wait, was it justified? Did you do the homework? Or were you like
is.
a horrible student and you just was like super mad about the justified grade you got?
Right. I know, I did my English professor because a lot of people didn't like them. I think they got like a 2.5 review and
Oh
everyone
no, that's
cuz they
awful.
cuz I mean she was like very strict, but she wasn't like I didn't really have a problem with her. So,
Well, of course, you're an amazing student, but some other students
mhm.
may be
Yep.
like, she's too strict. Also,
She
I
was
think there's
great.
a fine line between being strict and being stern that a lot of people just don't understand. They think
Mhm.
if I'm being stern with you or I'm having a firm hand because I want you to succeed, therefore you are strict. And that is not the same thing as
Mhm.
I'm being strict and hard on you because of some reason, because I'm having a bad day. Like there's a very big
Yeah.
difference there that people really
Mm.
need to see, or else it's going to affect a lot more professors' scores.
Yeah.
I also think maybe some professors don't understand that. So I think that maybe it's a two-way street.
Yeah. I know I was like put on the spot or something for being 20 minutes late to class. And, because I
Was
have
it like in
like
a joking way? Like, oh,
no.
look at you just strolling in.
No, she acted like I did something to like hurt them or something like I was like I did something to portray her personally or like that's how I felt. I
Hmm.
Because like I have chronic pain in my neck and I had like a heating pad on my neck and I was running late. And so my sister drove me to school 20 minutes late and I came in with my heating pad, obviously not feeling super great. And she was like, "Can you tell me what time it is?" And I was like, "I'm looking at the clock and you can make fun of me, but I don't know how to read like a regular clock." and
Yeah, a lot of people don't know
so
how to read a regular clock, so I'm definitely not gonna make fun of you. I'm just the educational system. I'm a little
and
disappointed
so
in them.
I was like, "Oh, I can't read that clock." And she was like, "It's 9:20 a.m. You are going to have to talk to your peer about what you missed in these 20 minutes." And I was like, "Okay." Trying not to tear up in class, like looking up at the ceiling, making sure that like I'm like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, this is so
Okay,
embarrassing."
well, a good tip, which is gonna sound really bad and unhealthy, but if you squeeze the back of your ear, to pop out my earphone real quick. If you squeeze the back of your ear, it actually stops you from crying, which is weird.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's
really
like
interesting.
yeah, I don't know why though. Don't ask me scientific. I'm not that major. I'm literally a cinema arts major, so don't ask me.
Uh,
I have no reason why. The same thing with like if you hold your thumb down like this, you stop yourself from vomiting.
oh, that's really interesting. Oh
I
my
have
god.
no clue. I know that one because I like
Yeah.
roller coasters a lot and I also like food.
Mhm.
So it's a dangerous game.
Um, yeah.
And I'm not going to be waiting till afterwards where is going to be a long line for the food. It's like, no, all of that for what? For what reason? Should colleges provide disability training before each semester?
Um, I think that would be a good idea. Professors can get a head start on what to expect when accommodating their disabled students and how they can help in any way for them to be successful in the classroom.
Okay. I agree with you that I think that they should have that. I do think it would be beneficial if they have it by somebody who's already been to college, who is a past student of theirs, maybe an alumni of sorts, or
Mm,
somebody who has gone through like the work field and is coming back and talking to different things, like a professional speaker who has a disability, and
mm,
like have it be like a round table sort of thing of different disabilities so they can understand from each person's point of view instead of
yeah.
just one person being like, I'm the representative for everything disability. I don't like that, personally speaking. um, so I try not to be like my advice, my thing is the only one out there. No, there are
Mm,
1,000 different stories, and that's why we're here
yeah.
today.
Yeah. Disability
um,
representation matters.
it does absolutely.
Mhm.
Hashtag disability representation matters. If you could design an ideal disability training program for professors, what would you include?
So I didn't answer this question, but I think
Oh, why
um,
is that?
because I did not know what to answer. But now that
Look,
we're
there's no wrong answers here. It's just however you feel.
I know, yeah. But I do know, like, as we're, like, talking about it, as in, like, making sure like, an actual disabled person is coming in to teach the professors how they can, like, accommodate their students and, like, to understand their students better if they, again, have trouble advocating for themselves or, find it hard to ask for help. So I think that would be a good idea to have a disabled person actually teaching that kind of thing.
Hmm. I really wish there was more professors that were openly disabled, or just like
Mm.
they had different, like for example, if a deaf class, if a ALS class was taught by an actual person who was deaf or hard of hearing, that way we could actually hear it from somebody who uses it every day, and not like
Mhm.
this is a hobby or a business move for me. If you actually
Yeah.
know somebody and you're talking to somebody who has it and you're immersing yourself more, that's great, especially for languages. But really, they should just have more professors who are like that just generally. That way, I can let down my guard more and be like, okay, I can tell this professor they're not going to be super harsh about it. Because I've had
Mhm.
maybe one or two professors who have been like kind of harsh about it. I'm like, I don't like it when professors to try to be accommodating to me. I don't know if this has happened to you, but they're really nice and they're like in front of the whole class, they're just like, "Are you getting this, Kina?" And I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
I hate that so much. It's kind of like what I call like Disney voice, where they're like, "Hi, sweetie, how are you doing?" Like I'm two, and I'm like,
That's
I'm not.
literally what happened to me, like, in the
It
past.
happens to me so often, and I'm just like, I am 22 years old. I can drink alcohol.
Grown woman, excuse me.
I was like, I can drink alcohol, man. I'm sorry, but this is weird. And I never know how to respond. I'm just like, thank you. I
I know there
think.
was, like I know, it did happen to me a lot, and I said it in my YLF delegate interview when they
Yeah, I saw
before,
it. You
like
did a very good job at that.
yes, before I got into YLF, I did say something a situation that happened was, like, when I was in 6th grade and they were doing, like, math we were doing, like, math workshop or something. Everyone had, like, their group, and I didn't have one
Yeah.
because I don't have any friends. Um,
Sad.
I'm I'm just kidding. I
Sad
did I
emoji,
did
cry
have
face.
I did have, one friend, but I don't know. I don't think she was, like, in our class at that time, so I didn't have any friends. So, and again, it's hard for me to make friends, and I don't have anybody. One of my I think one of the students' mom came over to me, and she was, like, in this super high-pitched voice that I can't do. "Hi, sweetie, do you need help with anything?" And I'm like, "Oh, no, I'm good. Thank you." Like, she says it in this high-pitched voice, and she's like, "Okay." Or at least that's how I remember. She goes to another group and she's like in her normal voice, "Hey, do you guys like need help with anything?" Or and I'm like,
And I was like,
"Did y'all see that? I need
yeah,
to
and
know
I
if
hate when they
anyone else
just
saw
don't notice that they
that."
do that. Sometimes they just straight up don't notice. They're like, I was like, how do you not notice your voice went up 14 octaves? Like, can you not feel it in your throat when you're talking? Like, "Hi."
That's
Like
so
you
funny.
can't
I
feel
don't know.
it. You can't feel it in your soul. No, not at all. That's so weird.
No. I
Interesting.
know like my voice changes 14 different octaves when I talk to people, but I don't mean to do that. Like I don't
I think
intentionally do
it's
that.
just a
Like
part of the human experience at this point because somebody
yeah.
actively told me one time. I also think there's this thing I saw that's called like the autism accent, and apparently everybody with a disability
Oh.
has this air quotes accent where we're
Oh.
either too quiet, too loud, we're either very like what I call like dead voice, where we're like we don't have any like octave or range in our voice, or we're either way too hyperactive, and it's like all these things at the same time,
Mhm.
or either none of the stuff at all, and it's just dead voice. Like, hi, my name is Kina, and we just sound really bored,
Yeah.
or
But it's
and
like
this
we
at
can't
random
control that
periods of
though.
time, just like no particular period, just like random periods of time. I'll just be like, I'm gonna turn off my voice and my emotions and my face. I'm like,
But
I
I
don't
feel like
need to emote right now. What's that for?
hmm, yeah. It's like we can't
Yeah.
control that though. Like it's
Yeah,
not
some people are
anything
like
personal.
actively aware of it, and I'm like, how are you doing that? Can you tell me your secrets, please? You're you could hear yourself. This is a question I've been asking everybody because apparently I'm just a weirdo for some reason. Can you hear
Mm.
yourself when you talk?
Yes, I can.
Okay, good for you. I cannot. And apparently that's not normal, but whatever. Um, what made you do you do online classes still, or do you do online hybrid or online in person?
So I'm taking two hybrid courses, so I only go twice a week.
Okay, so can you explain for people who maybe don't know what a hybrid class is, what a hybrid class is?
Yes. So a hybrid course is you go in person like once a week, um, but everything else is online. So you do have to do the online work.
And which one do you prefer out of all three? Do you prefer the online? Do you prefer in person? Or do you prefer hybrid?
I prefer hybrid because you do get to see your professor like once a week, and then you also have the rest of the time to go at your own pace when it comes to getting your work done.
Okay, and do you think that when people are coming into college for their first year that they should do hybrid or online? Or do you think that maybe they should just try to do it in person or a little bit of both?
I think if you can find in-person courses, again, just like what you said is like start like below part-time, like only take two classes, two in-person classes, and then work your way up. If you can do online courses or hybrid, that's your choice. But I would definitely recommend doing two in-person classes first.
Okay, that's good. I personally do a little bit of both. So in my first semester, I did completely in person. And then
Mm-hmm.
this coming semester, or wait, I've done so many semesters, I've lost track at this point. I've done a couple of semesters where it was just in person. And then I think it was maybe this semester, I decided I'm going to do completely online to see how I like it. And then
Mm-hmm.
the semester before this semester, I did a combination of both, where I took maybe two classes online and another one in person. Right now, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
full time student, also doing this part time, doing a lot of stuff. Classic
Yeah.
me. But right now, I'm just doing completely online for the winter time to see how I like it. Mainly because I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to travel in all that cold weather.
Yeah. That's
It's like
great.
I
Good
don't
for
like
you.
traveling in cold weather, and I didn't realize until last semester the social coins that comes with traveling back and forth to a place. Like I didn't realize it was so nerve wracking for me. I don't know how people do it,
Mhm.
but to me, I'm like traveling by bus, and sometimes
Oh.
I walk home because it's just the bus is way too much. It's
Mm.
loud, it's overwhelming, and sometimes I get crowded in and sardined with a bunch of people, and it's
Yeah.
not always the safest either. Or at least where I
Yeah.
live at. I don't know about your if you have a public transit like that.
I mean, we do, but my mom or my sister usually drive me to school.
That's good.
So
We
yeah.
just got a car, but as a part of my independence, I kind of like going back and forth on my own terms.
That's good.
Yeah. So, thank you for joining me today again. Is there
Of
anything you want
course.
to promote or plug?
I do have my regular Instagram account, and then I also have my poetry account where all of my poetry is completely self-written.
Wow,
So,
amazing.
yes, I have been writing for quite a long time. So it's kind of like an acquired skill where you can just like write what's on your mind and then just put it
Yeah,
on.
it's a very
Yeah.
therapeutic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I started writing when I was younger, and I've written written that's not a word. I've written several books when I was younger that
Oh.
have just completely gone missing. I've moved so much, and I'm like, oh, I would have liked to read them back because I remember as a kid I had like huge handwriting, and it was very like illegible at all. I couldn't read it.
Mm.
So now I want to see like, can I read it now? Is it possible in my big brains now that I'm able to read it or
Yeah.
decipher it? I also remember writing in the sketchbook because I didn't like line
Oh,
notebooks. I felt they were too restrictive, and now I write everything in line notebooks. So how time does change.
yeah.
I'll make sure to link your stuff down below. Thank you for joining me. Bye.
Bye.